Stardust Dragon, card type monster, attribute wind, types dragon, synchro effect. Level 8, attack 2500, defense 2000. One tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. When a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card or cards on the field, quick effect, you can tribute this card. Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. During the end phase, if this effect was activated this turn and was not negated, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Card trivia, Stardust Dragon. This is the cover card of the Duelist Genesis and is also one of the cover cards of Collectible Tins 2008 Wave 1, Duelist Edition Volume 3, Duelist Pack Collection Tin 2009, Duelist Pack Yusei, Duelist Pack Dual Power, Prismatic Art Collection, 25th Anniversary Tin Dueling Heroes, and Synergy Pack 1 Synchro Acceleration. This monster appears in the artworks of Cosmic Flare, Duelist Genesis, Emerging Awakening, Miracle Synchro Fusion, Rage Resynchro, Scrap Iron Statue, Shooting Star, Stardust Flash, Stardust Illumination, Stardust Mirage, Stardust Wish, and Starlight Road. Mech Lord Emperor Wisel Synchro Absorption is also equipped with this monster. This card appears in the artwork of E-Hero Pit Boss. This monster has several forms. Evolutions in Assault Mode form, Stardust Dragon / Assault Mode. 2 Majestic forms, Majestic Star Dragon and Shooting Majestic Star Dragon. 2 Excel Synchro forms, Shooting Star Dragon and Shooting Star Dragon TGEX. A Delta Excel Synchro form, Cosmic Blazar Dragon. 2 Limit over Excel Synchro forms, Shooting Quasar Dragon and Cosmic Quasar Dragon. Counterparts, a Malefic counterpart, Malefic Stardust Dragon. A Dual Dragon manga counterpart, Stardust Spark Dragon. A Synchron counterpart, Stardust Synchron. A retrained counterpart, Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. A younger counterpart, Debris Dragon. This is the signature card of Yusei Fudo in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime. This card's effect, attributing itself to negate an effect that destroys cards, reflects Yusei's willingness to risk his own life for his friends. This card has the same attack, 2500, as the other signature cards from the main protagonists in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, with the exception of Yuga Oto's Seven's Road Magician, Yugi Moto's Dark Magician, Jaden Yuki's Elemental Hero Neos, Yuma Tsukumo's Number 39 Utopia, Yuya Sakaki's Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, Yusaku Fujiki's Firewall Dragon, and Udius Velgear's Galactica Oblivion. This card has the following distinctions from the other signature monsters of the main protagonists in the anime. It is the only one to not be either light or dark. However, this card's manga counterpart, Stardust Spark Dragon, is a light monster. It is the only one whose level is not 7. This card is the opposite of Red Dragon Archfiend. Both monsters have mirrored poses in their card artworks and opposite color schemes as well. This card focuses on preventing other monsters from being destroyed, while Red Dragon Archfiend focuses on destroying the opponent's monsters. This reflects the rivalry between Yusei Fudo and Jack Atlas in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime. This card is similar to Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Both are Wind Dragon Synchro monsters with 2500 attack and 2000 defense. Both are the signature cards of protagonists from anime series that prominently featured turbo duels. Stardust Dragon was used by Yusei Fudo in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, while Clearwing Synchro Dragon was used by Yugo in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Both can negate a card's effect that destroys other cards and destroys it. This monster was designed by Kazuki Takahashi himself. In Dual Art, he explained that he designed this monster with the intent of being different from a standard dragon design, giving it a clear humanoid physique so that it would be able to strike a pose. Oddly, this monster did not appear as a statue in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal Episode 15 Training Days Part 1 alongside the other legendary monsters. This card was the first Signer Dragon to be a featured card of a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's episode. This card is the first Signer Dragon to be printed as a gold rare in Gold Series 3. In the anime, this card was the only Signer Dragon to not be used as a synchro material to limit over Excel synchro summon shooting Quasar Dragon. In the TCG, this card has been printed in all rarities except for Parallel Rare. However, it has been printed in Dual Terminal Parallel Rare in the OCG. Star Dragon from the Facebook game Social Empires is based on this monster. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, this monster flies across the bridge when the dock and the gate area of Dual World 5Ds is interacted with. Also rewarding gems. Card appearances, Stardust Dragon, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, details at the facility when Zen Yanagi tells Yusei about signers and the signer dragons, which leads Yusei to deduce Stardust Dragon is one of these sacred dragons. When summoning Stardust Dragon, Yusei says in Japanese, "Clustering hopes will become a new shining star. Become the path its light shines upon. Synchro summon, take a flight. Stardust Dragon." While Jack says, "Behold the wings guided by the great winds." Synchro summon, reverberate, Stardust Dragon. In the Japanese anime, Stardust Dragon's attack is shooting Sonic and its effect is Victim Sanctuary. In the English anime, its attack name is Cosmic Flare, while its effect name remains unchanged from the Japanese version. In Bonds Beyond Time, when Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei attack with a powered-up Stardust Dragon, its attack name is Shooting Spiral Sonic. In the dub, the attack was called Dark Cosmic Wave. This is Yusei's signature card. Its effect attributes itself to negate the effect of a card that destroys the controller's card represents Yusei's willingness to risk his own life, whether it be for his friends, his loved ones, or strangers in need. Fortune Cup. In episode 2, Jack is shown holding this card while he was talking to Rex Goodwin. He then flings it from across the room into his deck where it slides safely in. This card is shown in a flashback Tank has when he notes to his friends that when this card flew after Yusei summoned it, he was trembling with excitement and their dreams came true. In episode 4, Yusei states to Jack he wants this card back. Jack throws it to him, but Yusei soon throws it back to Jack. Yusei states that he will get it back when he and Jack duel each other. When Yusei and Jack arrive at the stadium, Jack holds this card up in the air and states to Yusei he made a foolish choice of choosing to duel him as he has already lost his chance at getting this card back. Later, Jack uses this card during his turbo duel against Yusei. He synchro summons this card by tuning Small Piece Golem and Medium Piece Golem with Sinister Sprocket. In the next episode, this card attacks directly after Red Dragon Archfiend attacks and destroys Junk Warrior, and the effect of Red Dragon Archfiend destroys Shield Warrior. On Jack's next turn, Red Dragon Archfiend attacks Sonic Chick. The latter is not destroyed due to its effect, but the effect of Red Dragon Archfiend then activates. However, Yusei activates Remote Revenge to destroy both of Jack's monsters by negating the effect of Red Dragon Archfiend. Jack then tributes this card to negate and destroy Remote Revenge. On Jack's end phase, he revives this card through its second effect, but Yusei activates Harmonia Mirror to take control of this card. Yusei then activates Speed Spell Silver Contrails to increase this card's attack by 1000 during the battle phase this turn. This card then attacks Red Dragon Archfiend, but Jack activates Synchro Deflector to negate the attack and destroy Sonic Chick. At the end of Yusei's battle phase, the effect of Silver Contrails expires. On Jack's next turn, Red Dragon Archfiend attacks this card, but Yusei uses the first effect of Ghost Gardener to redirect the attack to it instead, destroying it. This activates the second effect of Ghost Gardener, decreasing the attack of Red Dragon Archfiend by 1000 until the end of the turn. Yusei then activates Counterattack Beacon to increase this card's attack by 500 and conduct battle between it and Red Dragon Archfiend. Jack then activates Prideful Roar to pay life points equal to the attack difference between this card and Red Dragon Archfiend, and increase the attack of Red Dragon Archfiend by the attack difference plus 300. during damage calculation only. However, Yusei banishes Shield Warrior from his graveyard to prevent this card from being destroyed by battle this turn. The attack fails, but Yusei still takes battle damage. Jack then activates Speed Spell the End of the Storm to destroy all monsters on the field and inflict 300 damage to both players for each of their destroyed monsters. But Yusei activates Meteor Stream in response. Yusei then tries to tribute this card to negate and destroy the End of the Storm. However, the effects of the End of the Storm and Meteor Stream do not resolve, as both players' duel runners at this point begin to fail, thus ending the duel with no result. Had the duel continued, Yusei would have won the duel. In the first above-mentioned episode, this card is shown in a flashback Yusei has when he reminds Jack that this card was the dream for him and his friends, including Jack. In episode 6, this card is seen on the sphere monitor that was showing the turbo duel between Yusei and Jack. In episode 8, this card is shown in a flashback Yusei has when Tenzin Yanagi explains to him that there are 5 signers and 5 signer dragons. In episode 9, this card is seen in a flashback Yusei has when he remembers the Crimson Dragon appearing during his turbo duel against Jack, a mark appearing on his arm and Yanagi asking if he was a signer as there are 5. This card is also seen in a flashback Jack has when he wonders why the Crimson Dragon won't appear. Jack then theorizes that in order for the Crimson Dragon to appear, he must duel Yusei again. In episode 14, Jack takes this card out of his deck and leaves his apartment, stating to Mina Symington that the Fortune Cup is going to be a bigger stage than Rex Goodwin, as he himself will subdue the Crimson Dragon. After Jack meets Yusei again, he shows this card and states to Yusei he heard that Yusei is entering the Fortune Cup. Yusei asks how does he know, but Jack states it doesn't matter as he came to give Yusei this card back, as it makes sense for him to use this card. Jack tells to Yusei so that they can settle things from that night. Yusei asks if Jack was the one who sold out his friends. Jack doesn't know what he is talking about, so Yusei shows a photo of his friends and states that Lazar gave him this. Yusei then reveals that if he doesn't enter the Fortune Cup, then his friends will be in danger. So his reason for entering is so that he can fight the corrupt sector security. Jack states that means he should really hold on to this card, and tosses it to Yusei. In episode 23, Yusei takes this card out of his pocket and notes in his mind that he must use all his strength and risk his entire life during his duel against Akiza in order to reach out to her. Yusei then places this card at the bottom of his deck. This card is also shown in a flashback Rex Godwin has when he reminds Jack that he wants to see the clash between Red Dragon Archfiend and this card, and feel the energy that it will release. In episode 24, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against Akiza Izinski. Before he actually plays this card, he requests this card to lend him its power. Yusei then synchro summons this monster by tuning Junk Warrior with Junk Synchron. This card then attacks and destroys Black Rose Dragon. Akiza then revives Black Rose Dragon via Wicked Rebirth and activates the first effect of Black Rose Dragon to destroy all cards on the field. But Yusei tributes this card to negate the effect of Black Rose Dragon and destroy it. On Akiza's end phase, this card was revived via its second effect, while Black Rose Dragon was revived via the final effect of Wicked Rebirth. Akiza then activates Overdoom Line to increase the attack of all monsters on her side of the field by 1,000. Yusei then switches this card to defense position. He then equips this card with Prevention Star and targets Phoenician Cluster Amaralysis for the effect of Prevention Star. This prevents Phoenician Cluster Amaralysis from attacking while Prevention Star is around. Akiza then activates Synchro back to return Black Rose Dragon to her extra deck. On Akiza's next standby phase, the second effect of Synchro back special summons Black Rose Dragon. Akiza then activates the first effect of Black Rose Dragon to destroy all cards on the field, but Yusei tributes this card to negate the effect of Black Rose Dragon and destroy it. This causes Prevention Star to be destroyed as Akiza had planned, but before she can switch Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis to attack position and use it to attack directly, Yusei activates Cosmic Blast to inflict this card's attack as damage to Akiza and win the duel. 2 copies of this card are also shown when card defense fully resolved. In episode 25, this card is shown in a flashback relating to the events where Jack took this card and Yusei's first duel runner so he could finally be the king of New Domino City, when Yusei leaves to go rescue Raleigh out of a boat stranded in the middle of the water, which was done as part of Jack's plan. Jack takes Yusei's deck out and takes this card out of Yusei's deck. He then places this card into his pocket before taking the duel runner to escape from Satellite through the pipelines. In episode 26, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Jack Atlas. He synchro summons this card by tuning Junk Warrior, who was level 4 due to it being affected by Descending Lost Star, with Hyper Synchron. Since the latter was sent to the graveyard for this card's synchro summon, it gains 800 attack and is granted immunity to destruction by battle. Jack then activates Tuner Capture to special summon Hyper Synchron from Yusei's graveyard to Jack's side of the field. This card then attacks Red Dragon Archfiend, but Jack activates Tuner's Mind to return Red Dragon Archfiend to his extra deck and revive Twin Sword Marauder and Dark Tinker in defense position. A replay occurs, and Yusei uses this card to attack Twin Sword Marauder, but Tuner's Mind redirects the attack to Dark Tinker, destroying it instead. Synchro Blast then inflicts 500 damage to Jack after damage calculation. Later, Red Dragon Archfiend, whose attack was 3,800 due to the first granted effect of Hyper Synchron, then attacks this card, but the latter is not destroyed. However, Yusei still takes battle damage. Jack then activates Field Cannon to inflict 500 damage to Yusei since Red Dragon Archfiend failed to destroy this card. Yusei then activates Speed Spell Silver Contrails to increase this card's attack by 1,000 during the battle phase this turn. This card then attacks Red Dragon Archfiend, but the latter is not destroyed due to the second granted effect of Hyper Synchron. However, Jack still takes battle damage. Synchro Blast then inflicts 500 damage to Jack after damage calculation. At the end of the battle phase, the effect of Silver Contrails expires. Red Dragon Archfiend then attacks this card, but this card wasn't destroyed. However, Yusei still takes battle damage. Yusei then activates Crossline Counter to increase this card's attack equal to twice the battle damage he took and force Red Dragon Archfiend to attack this card. Red Dragon Archfiend isn't destroyed, but Jack still takes battle damage. Jack then activates Speed Spell Overboost to gain 4 more speed counters. He then activates Speed Spell The End of the Storm to destroy all monsters on the field and inflicts 300 damage to each player for each of their destroyed monsters. But Yusei tributes this card to negate and destroy the End of the Storm. Jack then activates Sneak Exploder with the intention of sending it to the graveyard on Yusei's standby phase to inflict 500 damage to Yusei for each monster he, Jack, controls. On Jack's end phase, this card revives itself due to its second effect. Yusei then activates Meteor Stream to inflict 1,000 damage to Jack, but Jack activates Crimson Fire to negate the damage he would take and inflicts twice the damage he would have taken to Yusei. But Yusei activates Shining Silver Force to negate and destroy Crimson Fire, as well as destroy all of Jack's spell and trap cards. Yusei then activates Speed Spell Final Attack to double this card's attack. This card then attacks Red Dragon Archfiend, but the latter isn't destroyed.
However, Jack still takes battle damage. Jack's life points then dropped to 0, winning Yusei the duel. Dark Signers. In episode 27, this card is shown in a flashback that Luna has when she explains she saw Yusei's duel against Jack inside the light and saw Satellite being destroyed. This card is also shown in a flashback Yusei has when he wonders about the vision he saw during his duel against Jack. This card is also shown in a video clip of Yusei and Jack's turbo duel, which Carly Carmine watches in an attempt to find proof that Yusei had a mark on his arm during the duel. In episode 29, this card appears in a flashback Jack has when he recognizes the mark on Trudge's arm. It's the same symbol he saw in the vision about Satellite during his turbo duel against Yusei. In episode 30, this card is shown in a flashback Yusei has when he notes that the vision he saw will be Satellite, what will become if the Signers lose to the Dark Signers. In episode 31, this card is shown in a flashback Jack has when he becomes angry at his loss to Yusei and the fact that he was really born from Satellite has become known to the public. In episode 32, this card is shown in a flashback Yusei has when he confirms to his friends that the vision he saw during his duel against Jack was Satellite being destroyed in the future. This card is also shown in a flashback Akiza has when she remembers the vision she and the other signers are and wonders if something is starting.
In episode 35, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Kalen Kessler. He synchro summons this card by tuning Level Warrior, who was level 4 due to Yusei special summoning it through its second effect with Hyper Synchron. Since the latter was sent to the graveyard for this card's synchro summon, it gains 800 attack and is granted immunity to destruction by battle. This card then attacks Hundred Eyes Dragon, but due to the effect of Infernity Guardian, Hundred Eyes Dragon gains the effects of all dark monsters in Kalen's graveyard. It is not destroyed, however. Kalen still takes battle damage. Yusei then activates the effect of Shard of Hope to draw one card. Yusei then destroys Shard of Hope in order to activate Miracle Locust from his hand, increasing the attack of this card by 1,000 until the end phase, and letting it attack again by allowing Kalen to draw one card. This card then attacks and destroys Hundred Eyes Dragon. Kalen then activates the last effect of Hundred Eyes Dragon to add Earthbound Immortal Kapak Apu from his deck to his hand. Yusei then activates Synchro Destructor to inflict damage to Kalen equal to half the attack of Hundred Eyes Dragon twice, as Hundred Eyes Dragon was a Synchro monster. But Kalen activates Damage Translation to have the effect damage he takes this turn. Yusei planned to use Speed Spell Final Attack during his next turn to double this card's attack as part of his winning move. On Yusei's end phase, the effect of Miracle Locust expires. This card remained on the field until the duel was over. In episode 40, this card appeared in a flashback Jack has when he tells Akiza's father that Yusei is the only one who can open Akiza's heart. In episode 41, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against Akiza. He synchro summons this card by tuning Shield Warrior and Speed Warrior with Junk Synchron. Black Rose Dragon, whose attack was 3,000 due to it being equipped with Thorn of Malice, attacks this card. This card is not destroyed due to Thorn of Malice, but Yusei still takes battle damage, and Thorn of Malice decreases this card's attack and defense by 600 until after damage calculation. Yusei then activates Half Shut to halve the attack of Black Rose Dragon until the end phase and grant Black Rose Dragon immunity to destruction by battle this turn. This card then attacks Black Rose Dragon. The latter is not destroyed due to Half Shut, but Akiza still takes battle damage. On Yusei's end phase, the effect of Half Shut expires. Black Rose Dragon then attacks this card again. Due to Thorn of Malice, this card is not destroyed, but Yusei still takes battle damage, and Thorn of Malice decreases this card's attack and defense by 600 after damage calculation. On Akiza's next turn, Black Rose Dragon attacks this card, but Yusei activates Defense Draw to reduce the battle damage he takes to 0 and draw 1 card. Due to Thorn of Malice, this card is not destroyed, but it loses 600 attack and defense after damage calculation. Akiza then activates Wonder Clover to allow Black Rose Dragon to attack again. Black Rose Dragon attacks this card again, but Yusei activates Iron Resolve to reduce the battle damage he would take to 0. Due to Thorn of Malice, this card is not destroyed, but it loses 600 attack and defense after damage calculation. On the last turn of the duel, Yusei then equips this card with Silverwing. He then activates Release Restraint Wave to destroy Silverwing and all of Akiza's spell and trap cards. With Thorn of Malice no longer on the field, the attack of Black Rose Dragon and this card's attack and defense return to their original value. This card then attacks Black Rose Dragon. Damage is calculated, but Akiza sends Hedgeguard from her hand to the graveyard to prevent Black Rose Dragon from being destroyed. After that resolves, the attack of Black Rose Dragon is halved until the end phase. Yusei then activates Synchro Ring to double this card's attack and allow it to attack again. This card then attacks and destroys Black Rose Dragon, winning Yusei the duel. In episode 42, this card appears in a flashback Yusei has when he remembers when he saw the Crimson Dragon for the first time. This card appears in a series of flashbacks Yusei has when he explains to Goodwin that when he returned to Satellite, Kaelin, a former friend that he thought was dead, reappeared before him as a Dark Signer. This card also appears in a series of flashbacks Rex Goodwin has when he states, "The signers can't turn away as since they have the same marks, they are the reincarnations of the legendary signers." This card also appears in a flashback Rex Goodwin has when he explains if the signers do nothing, New Domino City, Satellite, and all the citizens will fall into the hands of the Dark Signers. In episode 45, this card appears in a flashback Yusei has when he recognizes Roman Goodwin's mark and wonders if his vision is coming true. In episode 46, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against Roman Goodwin. He synchro summons this card by tuning Turret Warrior with Junk Synchron. This card then attacks directly as Earthbound Immortal Uru was the only monster on Roman's side of the field and it can't be selected as an attack target. But Roman activates Spider Egg to negate the attack and special summon 3 spider tokens. The card remained on the field until the duel was over. In episode 47, this card appears in a flashback Mina Symington has when she explains to everybody that after Rex Goodwin obtained the Signer Dragons from Dr. Fudo, he released them into the wild as the Signers would eventually use the cards and serve the Crimson Dragon. This card appears in Rex Goodwin's explanation when he explains to Mina what he did with the Signer Dragon cards he had, and when he confirmed who the current owners are. After the flashback ends, Yusei is shown looking at this card. Jack notes they have all been playing in Goodwin's palm as a result of following his orders. In episode 55, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Kaelin. He special summons this card with its effects negated via Burst Synchro Summon, ignoring the summoning conditions. On Yusei's turn, Kaelin activates Brilliant Shrine Art to make Earthbound Immortal Kapak Apu the only target for Yusei's attacks. Yusei then activates Speed Spell Angel Baton to draw 2 cards and send Stardust Xiaolong from his hand to the graveyard. Since this card was present the field, Yusei activates the effect of Stardust Xiaolong to revive itself. On Kaelin's next turn, Yusei activates Superior Protector to equip it onto this card and prevent himself from taking battle damage from battles that don't involve this card. Kapak Apu then attacks this card. but Yusei activates the final effect of Superior Protector to destroy itself and prevent this card from being destroyed. Caitlyn then activates Wicked Trample to double the battle damage Yusei would take. And on the last turn of the duel, Yusei tunes this card in Stardust Xiaolong with Majestic Dragon in order to synchro summon Majestic Star Dragon. In episode 56, Yusei uses this card to shut down the giant control units. In episode 57, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against Roman. He synchro summons this card via the second effect of Starlight Road. Yusei then activates Shooting Star to destroy Spiderweb, but Roman activates Anti-Emptiness to negate Shooting Star and destroy it. Yusei then activates Battle Waltz to special summon a Waltz token with the same stats as this card. The Waltz token then attacks directly since Roman only controls Earthbound Immortal Uru, but Roman activates the effect of Roar of the Earthbound to destroy the token and inflict half of its attack to Yusei as damage. However, Yusei tributes this card to negate the effect of Roar of the Earthbound and destroy it. After Uru destroys the Waltz token in battle, Yusei takes no battle damage due to the first effect of the Waltz token, and the last effect of the Waltz token reduces the attack of Uru by the attack of the Waltz token. Yusei activates Stardust Flash to special summon this card from his graveyard, ignoring the summoning conditions. This card then attacks and destroys Uru, winning Yusei the duel. This card also appeared in a flashback Rex Godwin has, when he explains to Crow that ever since he was little, his brother was a genius, and he was proud of that. However, Roman was forced to carry the power of unbelievable destiny. When Roman believed Dr. Fudo, he broke the seals to the control units to the Enter D reactor. Yusei quickly grabs the 4 Signer Dragons in Roman's hands and runs off. Roman's men fire at Dr. Fudo to stop him. One of the blasts hits Dr. Fudo, causing him to drop Ancient Fairy Dragon. A wounded Dr. Fudo gives Rex the 3 Signer Dragons he saved and tells him to shut down the Enter D reactor. Rex agrees and goes to try and shut down the reactor. In episode 58, this card was shown within the vision Carly shows to Jack when she activates Enlightenment and claims this is what will happen when he loses and becomes one of the Dark Signers. In the said vision, Carly and Jack as Dark Signers defeat and destroy the Signer Dragons and the Crimson Dragon. Jack nearly got consumed by it until he notices Carly's broken glasses. This makes him realize that whatever he is seeing is not true and that the duel has not ended yet. In episode 63, this card appears in a flashback Jack has when Rex Goodwin reminds him that in order for him to get the title of the king, he had to abandon his friends from Satellite, and he questions if Jack hadn't abandoned the bond of friendship before. In episode 64, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel with Jack Atlas and Crow Hogan against Rex Goodwin. He synchro summons this card by tuning Shield Warrior and Sonic Chick with Debris Dragon. Yusei then activates the effect of Crow's Blackwing Bombardment to send it to the graveyard, and increase this card's attack by the attack of Blackwing Armor Master. This card then attacks and destroys Sun Dragon Inti. This activates the latter's effect, which will destroy this card and inflict its attack to Yusei as damage, but Yusei tributes this card to negate that effect. Goodwin then activates the first effect of Moondragon Quilla to revive it, but Yusei activates Jack's Conquest of the Supreme Ruler and sends it to the graveyard in order to negate the summon of Moondragon Quilla. On Yusei's end phase, this card revives itself through its second effect. On the last turn of the duel, Yusei tunes this card in Stardust Xiaolong with Majestic Dragon in order to synchro summon Majestic Star Dragon. Pre-World Racing Grand Prix. In episode 66, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Ghost. He synchro summons this card by tuning Turbo Booster and Gauntlet Warrior with Debris Dragon. Yusei then activates Meteor Wave to increase this card's attack by 300 until the end phase and grant it the ability to inflict piercing damage this turn. This card then attacks Mech Lord Emperor Weisel but Ghost uses the effect of Wisel Guard to redirect the attack to Wisel Guard, destroying it. Stardust Dragon then inflicts piercing damage to Ghost. On Yusei's end phase, the effect of Meteor Wave expires. Later, Ghost activates the effect of Mech Lord Emperor Wisel to equip itself with this card and increase it by this card's attack. On the final turn of the duel, Yusei activates Synchro Material to allow himself to use this card as a Synchro Material monster for a Synchro Summon. Yusei then tunes this card with Unicycler with Majestic Dragon in order to Synchro Summon Majestic Star Dragon. Since this card has been removed from the field, Mech Lord Emperor Wisel loses the attack boost this card gave to it. In episode 67, Sly, a classmate of Luna and Leo, found this card on the floor after it accidentally flew out of Yusei's deck due to a malfunction in the duel runner that Yusei, Jack, and Crow were testing. Sly attempted to steal it, but Yusei showed up. Sly then gave it to Yusei, claiming he had found it. Later, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against Rudolf Heitman. He Synchro summons this card by tuning Turret Warrior with Eccentric Boy via the effect of Eccentric Boy while Turret Warrior was in Yusei's hand. Yusei then activates Variety Comes Out to return this card to his extra deck and special summon Debris Dragon, Hanawata, and Eccentric Boy from his graveyard, as their combined levels equal this card's level. After Yusei defeats Heitman, Sly noted to himself in his mind that he wanted to get this card for himself. This card appears within Sly's mind as he notes this. In episode 72, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Sherry LeBlanc. He synchro summons this card via Starlight Road. Right when he was about to summon this card, Boss and his men throw a truck over at where Yusei, Akiza, and Sherry were. Akiza quickly takes this card and summons it while using her psychic powers to physically manifest the card onto the field. This monster then proceeds in using its enormous body to detain the truck long enough for the duelists to get away from the truck, that is. This monster then disappears shortly after. Due to Boss's interference, the duel is called off. This card also appears within a series of flashbacks Akiza Izinski has when she notes that within the speed and wind of a turbo duel, Yusei has felt the anger, screams, pain, and joy of his friends and rivals. This card also appears in Sherry's explanation when she notes if the duel had continued without Boss interfering, Yusei would have used this card to attack and destroy Sacred Knight Joan, and then use Speed Warrior to attack directly. However, they both knew that would have only left Sherry with 50 life points, so Sherry would have still had another turn left to win the duel. In episode 73, this card appeared in Yusei Fudo's Nightmare, which involved a turbo duel between himself and an unknown opponent. Yusei synchro summons this card by tuning Shield Warrior and Sonic Chick with Debris Dragon. Right after Yusei summons this card, his opponent transforms into Ghost, while Tiger Dragon is replaced with Mech Lord Emperor Wisel and its Wisel parts. This card's attack then became equal to the combined attack of the other Wisel parts due to its effect. Ghost then activates the effect of Mech Lord Emperor Wisel to equip itself with this card and increase the attack of Mech Lord Emperor Wisel by this card's attack. Yusei shouts in anguish at his monster as his monster is absorbed. He is, however, cut off by Sherry, who asks Yusei isn't dueling by the edge kind of dueling he enjoys, and states he will find his goal if they battle together. Right after this card gets fully absorbed by Mech Lord Emperor Wisel, Yusei wakes up from his nightmare. This card also appears in a flashback Crow has when Yusei reminds him about the former's turbo duel against Ghost and Mech Lord Emperor Wisel's ability to absorb synchro monsters. In episode 74, this card appears in a flashback Yusei has when he wonders to himself if there is a new strategy that can defeat Mech Lord Emperor Wisel. This card also appears In a flashback Yusei has when he questions himself if consecutive attacks by two synchro monsters is the battle technique that will defeat Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel. In episode 79, this card appears in a flashback Crow has when he notes to Jack that by defeating Goodwin, they were able to unite Neo Domino City and Satellite. This card also appears in a flashback Crow has when he notes that he heard Yusei's heart scream during the battle with the Dark Signers. This card also appears in a flashback Yusei has when he notes that he won't be able to defeat Ghost and his Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel if he can't go at an incredibly fast speed that would allow him to excel Synchro Summon. In episode 82, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against the guard robot. He Synchro summons this card by tuning Junk Warrior with Drill Synchron. This card then attacks and destroys Lock Dragon, winning Yusei the duel. In episode 88, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against Kalen. He Synchro summons this card by tuning Turret Warrior and Card Breaker with Boost Warrior, who is a tuner in the anime. Later, Kalen's Infernity Doom Dragon attacks this card, but Yusei activates Power Frame to negate the attack. Equip Power Frame to this card and increase this card's attack by the difference in attack between this card and Infernity Doom Dragon. On Yusei's next turn, this card attacks Infernity Doom Dragon, but Kalen activates Infernity Break to banish Infernity Dwarf from his graveyard and destroy Power Frame, which causes this card's attack to return to its original value. Yusei then tributes Second Booster in order to increase this card's attack by 1500. This card then destroys Infernity Doom Dragon, winning Yusei the duel. In episode 92, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel with Kalen against Lawton. He Synchro summons this card by tuning Justice Bringer with Bree Synchron. Since Bree Synchron was sent to the graveyard as a Synchro Material monster, this card gains 600 attack until the end phase. But this card's effects are negated until the end phase. This card then attacks Blaster Ogre, but Lawton sends Metal Coat to the graveyard to prevent Blaster Ogre from being destroyed. Yusei then activates Synchro Blast to inflict 500 damage to Lawton as a Synchro monster attacked. On Yusei's end phase, the effect of Bree Synchron expires. After Yusei explains this card's effects, Lawton realizes he can't win the duel, and the duel is soon interrupted by Barbara and Lawton's henchmen. When Crow Hogan, Jack Atlas, and Sector Security arrive and intervene, Lawton activates an explosive to distract his enemies and escape. Kalen catches up to him with Yusei's Duel Runner, and the two of them decide to continue the duel without Yusei and his cards. In episode 93, Yusei uses this card during his ground duel against Ellsworth. He Synchro summons this card by turning Turbo Booster and Tricular with Debris Dragon. This card then attacks Driven Daredevil, but since this card has higher attack than Driven Daredevil, the latter is not destroyed. However, Ellsworth still takes battle damage. At the end of the damage step, the second effect of Driven Daredevil activates, which will destroy this card, and once that happens, the effect of Master and Servant's Resolve will activate, inflicting the attack of this card as damage to Yusei. Yusei tries to tribute this card to negate the effect of Driven Daredevil and destroy it, but Ellsworth activates Standoff to forbid both players from tributing monsters on their own. Yusei then activates Space Jump, banishing this card and inflicting its attack as damage to Ellsworth, winning Yusei the duel. This card also appears during Yusei's explanation when he explains that if he tributes this card to negate the effect of Driven Daredevil and destroy it, Master and Servant's Resolve will wipe out the remainder of Ellsworth's life points. This card also appears during Ellsworth's explanation when he explains that if he activates his set card in response to the effect of this card, Master and Servant's Resolve will wipe out the remainder of Yusei's life points. In episode 97, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Andre. He Synchro summons this card by tuning Speed Warrior and Shield Wing with Debris Dragon. This card then attacks Green Baboon, Defender of the Forest. Yusei then activates Synchro Strike to increase this card's attack by 1500, 500 for each Synchro material monster used for Synchro Summon it, until the end phase. This card then destroys Green Baboon, Defender of the Forest. This card remained on the field until the duel was suspended due to Team Unicorn's practice time being over. World Racing Grand Prix. In episode 99, Akiza uses this card during her turbo duel against Andre. She synchro summons this card by tuning a Siphon token who had the level of Black Rose Dragon with Glow Up Bulb. This action shocks everyone except Yusei and Akiza, as they had planned this secretly before Akiza went into duel. Black Rose Dragon then attacks and destroys Thunder Unicorn. This card then attacks directly, but Andre activates Dimension Equilibrium to end the battle phase. Banish Black Rose Dragon and special summon Thunder Unicorn from the graveyard. Later, Andre activates Speed Spell Speed Energy to increase the attack of Thunder Unicorn by 2400, 200 for each speed counter he has until the end phase. Thunder Unicorn then attacks this card, but Akiza activates Half Counter to increase this card's attack by half the original attack of Thunder Unicorn. Thunder Unicorn then destroys this card. Andre then activates the effect of Speed World 2 to remove 4 speed counters and inflict 800 damage to Akiza for each speed spell in his hand. Andre reveals Speed Spell the End of the Storm, so Akiza will take 800 damage. Akiza then activates Wicked Rebirth to special summon this card from the graveyard by paying 800 life points. This makes Akiza lose, but she was able to keep this card on the field and make Andre waste 4 of his speed counters. Due to the rulings of the World Racing Grand Prix, it immediately goes to Andre's end phase. Akiza then passes the baton to Yusei, who proceeds forward in dueling Andre. This card also appears in a flashback Akiza has when she remembers Yusei giving her this card and telling her to play it when the time is right. In episode 100, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Andre. This card attacks and destroys Thunder Unicorn. After Yusei normal summons Max Warrior, this card remained on the field until Yusei defeated Andre. As per the rulings of the World Racing Grand Prix, it goes to Yusei's end phase. Andre then passes the baton to Brio, who proceeds in dueling Yusei. In episode 100, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Brio. In the next episode, this card attacks directly. Brio then activates Regretful Tuning to revive Voltic Bicorn. Later, Voltic Bicorn attacks this card, but Yusei activates Synchro Striker units to equip it to this card and increase its attack by 1000. Brio then activates Flattery to increase the attack of Voltic Bicorn by the difference between this card's original attack and current attack. Both monsters are then destroyed in a double KO. The effect of Voltic Bicorn then activates, forcing both players to send the top 7 cards of their deck to the graveyard. Brio then activates Tuning Collapse to force Yusei to send 8 cards from the top of his deck to the graveyard. The number of sent cards are equal to this card's level. In episode 102, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Jean. He revives this card via Harmony Crystal. A replay occurs, and Jean chooses not to attack with Rhinotaurus. Harmony Crystal then inflicts damage to Jean equal to half of this card's attack. Later, this card attacks and destroys Rhinotaurus. Jean then activates 1000 Crisscross to make his life points 1000. Yusei then sets Cosmic Blast
and intends to activate it when Lightning Tricorn attacks and destroys this card. Jean then activates Superficial Peace to prevent spell and trap cards from being activated this turn, as well as prevent monsters from being destroyed in battle this turn. Lightning Tricorn then attacks this card, but this card isn't destroyed due to Superficial Peace. However, Yusei still takes battle damage. The one card later Yusei activates Speed Spell. Speed Fusion to fuse this card with Junk Warrior in order to fusion summon Dragon Knight Draco Equist. On the last turn of the duel, Jean activates the effect of Speed World 2 to remove 10 speed counters and destroy summon tags, but Yusei activates the first effect of Dragon Knight Draco Equist to banish this card from his graveyard and grant Dragon Knight Draco Equist all of this card's abilities.
Yusei then activates the first Stardust Dragon granted effect of Dragon Knight Draco Equist to tribute itself and negates the effect of Speed World 2. Speed World 2 is not destroyed as it can't be removed from the field. This card also appears in a flashback Yusei has when he remembers the effect of Voltic Bicorn and how it made him send a lot of the cards in his deck to the graveyard. In episode 103, this card appears in a flashback Yusei has when he learns that Iliaster and Ghost are connected to one another. In episode 104, this card appears in a flashback Akiza has when she notes that it took all that she had to pass the baton to Yusei during the match between Team 5Ds and Team Unicorn. In episode 106, Yusei uses this card during the Battle Royale that was around New Domino City. He synchro summons this card by tuning Swift Scarecrow and Mirror Ladybug, who was level 4 due to Yusei using its effect to make its level equal to the total levels of all other monsters Yusei controls with Junk Synchron. This card then attacks and destroys Ally of Justice Nullifier, defeating a Ghost Duelbot. Yusei, Sherry, and Ellsworth then proceeded in defeating the other Duelbots in the current area. Yusei later uses this card to attack directly and defeat another Duelbot. In episode 108, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Primo. He special summons this card via Star Shift when Primo activates the effect of Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel to equip itself with Junk Destroyer. Since Junk Destroyer has been removed from the field, the effect of Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel is negated as it has lost its original target. After Yusei normal summons Bicular, Yusei activates Emerging Awakening to banish this card for one turn and inflicts damage to Primo equal to this card's level times 100. Since this card is level 8, Primo takes 800 damage. On Yusei's next standby phase, this card returns to the field with 800 more attack. After Yusei Synchro summons Formula Synchron, Yusei attempts to Excel Synchro summon, but Primo reminds Yusei that his father was responsible for Zero Reverse. This breaks Yusei's clear mind and makes the Excel Synchro summon fail. This card then attacks Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel, but Primo activates the first effect of Skyle Carrier 5 to negate the attack. On Primo's next turn, he activates the effect of Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel to equip itself with this card and increase its attack by this card's attack. In the next episode, Yusei activates the second effect of Rescue Warrior to regain control of this card after Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel destroys Rescue Warrior in battle. Yusei then activates the effect of Necro Linker to revive Formula Synchron. However, Yusei can't use Formula Synchron as a Synchro material monster this turn. Later, Primo activates the effect of Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel to equip itself with this card, but Yusei performs an XL Synchro summon by tuning this card with Formula Synchron. This time, Yusei succeeds in achieving Clear Mind, and he Excel Synchro summons Shooting Star Dragon. Since this card has been removed from the field, the effect of Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel is negated as it has lost its original target. In the first above-mentioned episode, this card is shown in a flashback Yusei has when he notes that the Synchro Monster absorbing power of the Mech Lord Emperors is a powerful ability, but if he can achieve Excel Synchro Summon, then he may be able to find what he needs to beat the Mech Lord Emperors for good. In the second above-mentioned episode, this card is shown in a flashback Yusei has when he questions himself why he couldn't Excel Synchro Summon it earlier. In the second above-mentioned episode, this card is shown in a flashback Visor has when he realizes that Yusei couldn't achieve Clear Mind because his heart was in chaos, which was why the XL Synchro Summon failed. In episode 111, this card appears in a flashback Jack has when he realizes if he doesn't improve his battling style, he won't be able to defeat the three pure nobles. In episode 116, Yusei uses this card during his concentration duel with Clark Smith. He synchro summons this card by tuning Max Warrior and Sonic Chick with Junk Synchron. Yusei then declares he is activating a trap card and flips Future Battle. Yusei then activates the second effect of Future Battle to select and reveal one of Clark's face-down cards. It's revealed to be Decago Knight, who is immediately special summoned. Due to the fourth effect of Future Battle, this card attacks and destroys Decago Knight. As this card destroyed a monster in battle, the last effect of Future Battle activates, allowing Yusei to activate the second effect of Future Battle once again. Yusei then activates the second effect of Future Battle to select and reveal another one of Clark's face-down cards. It's revealed to be Decago Knight, who is immediately special summoned. Due to the fourth effect of Future Battle, this card attacks and destroys Decago Knight. The last effect of Future Battle activates, allowing Yusei to activate the second effect of Future Battle once again. Yusei then activates the second effect of Future Battle to select and reveal another one of Clark's face-down cards. It's revealed to be Decago Knight, who is immediately special summoned. Due to the fourth effect of Future Battle, this card attacks and destroys Decago Knight, winning Yusei the duel. In episode 121, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Taro Yamashita. He synchro summons this card by tuning Big One Warrior, Quillbolt Hedgehog, and Tuning Ware with Debris Dragon. In the next episode, Yoshizo Hayashi and Jinbei Tanigawa are amazed at this card appearing, but they are relieved that this card was in defense position. Later, Zushin, the Sleeping Giant, attacks this card. Due to the effect of Zushin, the Sleeping Giant, its attack becomes equal to this card's attack plus 1000 until the end of the damage step. But Yusei activates Power Shift to reduce this card's attack to 0 until the end of the turn. This reduces the attack of Zushin to 1000 until the end of the damage step, causing the attack to fail. Taro then activates Attack and Receive to inflict 700 damage to Yusei. On Taro's end phase, the effective Power Shift expires. On Taro's next turn, he activates Meteor Rain to allow his monsters to inflict piercing damage this turn. Zushin, the Sleeping Giant, then attacks this card. Due to the effect of Zushin, its attack becomes equal to this card's attack plus 1000 until the end of the damage step, but Yusei activates Graceful Revival to revive Turning Ware. Yusei then activates Urgent Tuning to synchro summon a synchro monster during the battle phase this turn immediately. Yusei then tunes Tuning Ware with Turbo Synchron in order to synchro summon Formula Synchron. Yusei then tunes this card with Formula Synchron in order to XL Synchro summon Shooting Star Dragon. In the second above-mentioned episode, this card appears in Bruno's explanation when he explains to Team 5Ds that Zushin, the Sleeping Giant, can't be targeted by the effects of spell and trap cards. In episode 128, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Haldor. He synchro summons this card by tuning Quillbolt Hedgehog and Doppel Warrior with Debris Dragon. Since Doppel Warrior was sent to the graveyard for a synchro summon, its effect activates, special summoning a Doppel token to Yusei's side of the field. Yusei then activates Speed Spell Overtune to tribute the Doppel token and special summon Majestic Dragon from his hand. Yusei then tunes this card in Cosmic Compass with Majestic Dragon in order to synchro summon Majestic Star Dragon. In the next episode, Yusei revives this card via the effect of Stardust Phantom. Thor, Lord of the Aesir, then attacks this card, but Yusei banishes Stardust Phantom from his graveyard in order to grant this card the ability to avoid being destroyed in battle by giving up 800 of its attack and defense. Yusei then activates the Stardust Phantom granted effect of Stardust Dragon to decrease its attack and defense by 800 and prevent its destruction. Loki, Lord of the Aesir, then attacks this card, but Yusei activates the Stardust Phantom granted effect of Stardust Dragon to decrease its attack and defense by 800 and prevent its destruction. Odin, Father of the Aesir, then attacks this card, but Yusei sends Stronghold Guardian from his hand to the graveyard in order to increase the defense of this card by 1500 until the end phase. Yusei then activates the Stardust Phantom granted effect of Stardust Dragon to decrease its attack and defense by 800 and prevent its destruction. Yusei's end phase, the effect of Stronghold Guardian expires. Later, Yusei tunes this card with Formula Synchron in order to excel Synchro Summon Shooting Star Dragon. Arc Cradle. In episode 130, this card appears in a series of flashbacks that Akisa, Izinski, Leo, and Luna have when they write about Akisa Izinski in the report Carly Carmine was writing about Team 5Ds. This card also appears in a flashback Mina Symington had when she tells Akiza, Leo, and Luna that it was thanks to the signers that Neo Domino City became united. This card also appears in a flashback Akiza has when she knows that the Mech Lords are Synchro Killers due to their ability to absorb Synchro monsters. This card also appears in a flashback Leo has when he reveals to Carly that Jack and Yusei have obtained new powers for the battle against Iliaster. In episode 134, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Jacob. He special summons this card via Shadow Impulse with its zero attack and its effects negated. On Yusei's next turn, he tunes this card with Formula Synchron in order to excel Synchro Summon Shooting Star Dragon. In episode 140, this card appears in a flashback Akiza has when she reminds Crow how Yusei saved her from the darkness of her psychic powers because he had put his life on the line to change her. In episode 144, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Antinomy. He synchro summons this card by tuning Salvage Warrior with Junk Synchron. Yusei then activates the effect of Stardust Xiaolong to revive itself, as he had this card on his side of the field. After Yusei activates Graceful Revival to revive Unknown Synchron, he tunes Stardust Xiaolong with Unknown Synchron in order to synchro summon Formula Synchron. After Yusei activates the effect of Formula Synchron to draw one card, he tunes this card with Formula Synchron in order to excel Synchro Summon Shooting Star Dragon. In episode 146, this card appears in a flashback Yusei has when he finds out from Zone that he was the one that sent Paradox to destroy Duel Monsters. In episode 149, this card appears in Zone's backstory when he explains how he became Yusei and why he wanted to destroy Neo Domino City to change the future. This card is shown on Zone's computer when he is shown looking up Yusei's history. In episode 151, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Zone. He synchro summons this card via Converging Wishes. Due to the third effect of Converging Wishes, this card gains attack equal to the attack of all Dragon-type Synchro monsters in Yusei's graveyard, making its attack 20,900. Yusei then activates the fourth effect of Converging Wishes to return Ancient Fairy Dragon to his extra deck and force Cephalon, the Ultimate Time Lord, to attack this card. But Zone activates Cephalon's fourth effect to banish Metaion, the Time Lord, from the field in order to prevent Cephalon's destruction and nullify the battle damage he would take. Yusei then activates the fourth effect of Converging Wishes to return Lifestream Dragon to his extra deck and force Cephalon to attack this card. But Zone activates Cephalon's fourth effect to banish Savion, the Time Lord, from the field in order to prevent Cephalon's destruction and nullify the battle damage he would take. Yusei then activates the fourth effect of Converging Wishes to return Black Rose Dragon to his extra deck and force Cephalon to attack this card. But Zone activates Cephalon's fourth effect to banish Gabrion, the Time Lord, from the field in order to prevent Cephalon's destruction and nullify the battle damage he would take. Yusei then activates the fourth effect of Converging Wishes to return Black Winged Dragon to his extra deck and force Cephalon to attack this card, but Zone activates Cephalon's fourth effect to banish Sanda Ion, the Time Lord, from the field in order to prevent Cephalon's destruction and nullify the battle damage he would take. Yusei then activates the fourth effect of Converging Wishes to return Red Dragon Archfiend to his deck, his extra deck, and force Cephalon to attack this card. This card then destroys Cephalon, winning Yusei the duel. In episode 152, Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Jack. He synchro summons this card by tuning Bright Star Dragon with Blue Expense Falcon, who was level 4 due to it being affected by Bright Star Dragon's effect. On Jack's next turn, he activates the effect of Star Gatherer to target this card and make the level of Star Gatherer this card's level -1. Jack then tunes Star Gatherer with Synchron Resonator in order to synchro summon Red Dragon Archfiend. The latter then attacks this card, but Yusei activates Star Excursion to banish both battling monsters until the end of Jack's third battle phase after Star Excursion's activation. In the next episode, the effect of Star Excursion expires after Crimson Blader fails to destroy Sonic Chick in battle due to the latter's own effect. Because of this banished card and Red Dragon Archfiend are special summoned to their respective owner's side of the field in attack position. In the following episode, Yusei tunes this card with Formula Synchron in order to XL Synchro summon Shooting Star Dragon. In the second above-mentioned episode, this card appears in a series of flashbacks Akiza has when she notes that Yusei is always fighting for others, just like when he fought her in order to help her remove all the negative influences that she was under. This card also appeared in special episode Evolving Duel, Stardust vs. Red Demons. In the fourth opening theme of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Believe in Nexus, Yusei synchro summoned his Stardust Dragon using Hyper Synchron and Max Warrior. Yu-Gi-Oh! 3D Bonds Beyond Time. Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Paradox. He synchro summons this card by tuning Junk Warrior with Junk Synchron. Right after Yusei summons this card, Paradox uses a blank card to absorb this monster and transform the blank card into a blackened corrupt version of this card. Paradox then leaves at this point as his mission in Yusei's time was to take this card from him. Paradox's action left Yusei's copy of this card as a blank card. Yusei later finds out that Paradox was changing the past, so the Crimson Dragon takes him through time to stop Paradox. In the GX era, Paradox used Cyber End Dragon and Rainbow Dragon to attack Jaden, but Jaden summons Elemental Hero Neos and uses it to defend himself. Paradox summons this monster and uses it to attack. Jaden and Neos both barely survived the attack as they took an attack from a monster that didn't exist in their era. Stardust Dragon prepares to finish Jaden off, but the Crimson Dragon and Yusei save Jaden and block off the attack. Paradox leaves to Yugi's time. In the Dual Monsters era, Paradox uses this monster, Rainbow Dragon and Cyber End Dragon, to attack all the people in the tournament that was being hosted at the timing, including Maximilian Pegasus and Solomon Moto, leaving Yugi as the survivor. However, the Crimson Dragon then whisks Yugi back to 30 minutes before the event occurred. Jaden and Yusei explain what's going on and why Paradox wants to destroy Duel Monsters. Yugi agrees to assist Yusei and Jaden as Paradox killed his grandfather in that incident, and he wants to make sure that doesn't happen. Jaden then uses Yubel to scare off the people at the tournament, which restores the cards in both Jaden and Yusei's decks, but that doesn't stop Paradox from arriving at the scene. Paradox uses this card during this duel against Yugi Moto, Jaden Yuki, and Yusei Fudo. He sends this card from his extra deck to the graveyard in order to special summon Malefic Stardust Dragon. He then tunes Malefic Stardust Dragon with Malefic Parallel Gear to synchro summon Malefic Paradox Dragon. Paradox then activates the first effect of Malefic Paradox Dragon to special summon this card from the graveyard, ignoring the summoning conditions. Due to the second effect of Malefic Paradox Dragon, all face-up monsters controlled by Paradox's opponents lose attack equal to the attack of this card. This decreases the attack of Elemental Hero Neos Knight to 700. Later, Yugi summons forth Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. Due to the effect of Malefic Paradox Dragon, the attack of both of Yugi's monsters lose attack equal to this card's attack. Later, Yugi activates Magic Gate of Miracles to take control of a monster controlled by Paradox. Believing Yugi is going to target Malefic Paradox Dragon, Paradox activates Malefic Force to equip the latter to Malefic Paradox Dragon and grant it immunity to spell cards controlled by Paradox's opponents. However, Yugi then uses Magic Gate of Miracles to take control of this card. This action purifies this card, making it Yusei's card again. Since this card is no longer controlled by Paradox, the attack of Neos Knight, Dark Magician, and Dark Magician Girl revert to their original value. After Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon attacks and destroys Dark Magician, the effect of Malefic Truth Dragon activates, destroying all monsters controlled by Paradox's opponents, and inflicting 800 damage to Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei for each monster destroyed. But Yusei tributes this card to negate the effect of Malefic Truth Dragon and destroy it. Paradox then activates the second effect of Malefic Truth Dragon to banish Malefic Rainbow Dragon and prevent Malefic Truth Dragon from being destroyed. On Paradox's end phase, this card revives itself via its own effect. Jaden then activates Neos Spiral Force to double this card's attack. Yugi then activates Dark Spiral Force to double this card's attack once more. This card then attacks and destroys Malefic Truth Dragon, winning Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei the duel. With Paradox's defeat, he is destroyed and all cards he had stolen were returned to their proper time eras. When this card is taken by Paradox, it turned black, and the picture of Stardust Dragon became inverted. No other card Paradox stole had this alteration. This monster was the only trump card Paradox stole from the 5Ds era. The other trump cards he stole were from the GX era and the Duel Monsters era. Evolving Duel, Stardust vs. Red Demons. Yusei uses this card during his turbo duel against Jack. He synchro summons this card by tuning Shield Wing and Quibalt Hedgehog with Debris Dragon. On Jack's next turn, Red Dragon Archfiend attacks this card, but Yusei activates Trick Battle to destroy Red Dragon Archfiend at the start of the damage step, without applying damage calculation. In response, Jack activates Assault Mode Activate to tribute Red Dragon Archfiend and special summon Red Dragon Archfiend or Assault Mode. Due to the last effect of Assault Mode Activate, Red Dragon Archfiend Assault Mode can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects controlled by Yusei this turn. Red Dragon Archfiend / Assault Mode then attacks this card, but Yusei activates Assault Mode Activate to tribute this card and special summon Stardust Dragon Assault Mode. On the last turn of the duel, both Stardust Dragon Assault Mode and Red Dragon Archfiend Assault Mode are destroyed in a double KO. Yusei and Jack then activate the last effect of their Assault Mode monsters to special summon this card and Red Dragon Archfiend from their graveyards. Yusei then activates the last effect of Skill Successor to banish it from his graveyard and increase this card's attack by 800 until the end phase. This card then attacks and destroys Red Dragon Archfiend. Yusei then activates Synchro Destructor to inflict damage to Jack equal to half the attack of Red Dragon Archfiend twice, and win the duel. Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. In the pre-opening of all episodes set in the Synchro Dimension arc, the opening about Solid Vision is replaced with an explanation about the D-Wheel. Through the explanation, two duelists are seen dueling using what appears to be silhouetted versions of Stardust Dragon and Red Dragon Archfiend. Scripted duels. In the non-canon duel North American WCQ 2011 special, Yugi versus Yusei, Yusei summons this card using Junk Synchron and Salvage Warrior as Synchro material. It attacks Yugi's Dark Magician Girl, but the attack fails due to Yugi's magical hats. The next turn, its presence increases the attack of Yugi's Buster Blader, which destroys Stardust Dragon by battle. The same turn, Yusei special summons Stardust Dragon with Miracle's Wake. The following turn, this card is used as Synchro material with Formula Synchron for Shooting Star Dragon, while in the graveyard, its presence increases the attack of Yugi's Dark Paladin. In the non-canon duel, YCS Providence 2012 special, Yusei versus Akiza, Yusei summons this card using Bree Synchron and Junk Warrior, while the latter's level was reduced with Descending Lost Star. Bree Synchron's effect increases its attack by 600 for the turn. Stardust Dragon attacks Akiza directly, but Akiza special summons Black Rose Dragon with Wicked Rebirth, causing a replay. As Black Rose Dragon had its attack increased by Overdoom line, Yusei cancels the attack. The next turn, Akiza equips Stardust Dragon with Mark of the Rose, giving her control of it. Stardust Dragon returns to Yusei's control at the end of Akiza's turn. On the following turn, Yusei's Stardust Dragon attacks and destroys Akiza's Siphon token. On Akiza's next turn, as it is still equipped with Mark of the Rose, Akiza assumes control of Stardust Dragon and has it attack Yusei's Junk Destroyer before it returns to Yusei's control. The turn after, Yusei increases Stardust Dragon's level with Give and Take, and uses it as Synchro material with Formula Synchron and Junk Destroyer for Shooting Quasar Dragon.